Musical musings, musical musings, musical musings, musical musings.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the latest episode of Musical Musings, airing every Wednesday at 1 p.m. We broadcast this program to you from Rajamakan, University of Technology, Peranakan. This program will come to you in two parts. For our first part, I will introduce an artist and a song to you. We'll talk about the artist a little bit, and then we will discuss the main themes of the song, like what the song is all about. Then we will listen to the song. Then we get to the second part of the program, and we will analyze the lyrics. The lyrics are the words to the song, and we will focus especially on anything that may be difficult to understand, difficult vocabulary, slang words, idioms. An idiom is a saying which doesn't mean exactly what the words might suggest that it means. So any vocabulary, slang, idioms, anything like that that's difficult to understand. Then we will have the news and latest updates from the university as always.
Musical musings, musical musings, musical musings, musical musings.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Gary Gray, and I am your host for the Musical Musings program. I'm an American English teacher here at Rajamakan University of Technology, Peranakan, and I have been teaching here for about 8 years almost. Actually, I have completed my 8th year of teaching here, but of course a school year does not last a full year, so as far as when I moved here, it's been a little bit less than 8 years, but I have been teaching here for about 8 years. So I've been here quite a long time. And as an English teacher, one of the things I find that helps the students learn is doing things that are kind of interesting, like learning English from English language movies, or learning language from English music. And I am able to play the guitar and sing, not very well at all, but I can do that. So I use music in my classroom fairly frequently. And so, naturally, I am going to bring you our musical program here. And today we're doing something interesting because this may be a song we've already done. I'm not sure. I have not gone back in our catalog and looked at what we've done. We've been doing this program almost for 2 years now. Most of the artists we've done are popular artists with a lot of popular songs, because at the end of the program I like to suggest to you other songs to listen to from that artist. But over the last few weeks we've been doing something called one-hit wonders. Actually, over the last several weeks. One-hit wonders are these groups that maybe only have one big song that made them famous. And that's going to be the case with the group we're doing today. But it's a song I really like, so it's possible we've done it before. So why am I deciding to do it again? Okay, well, first of all, I'm not even sure we've done it before. It's possible we have not, since I mostly choose popular songs by popular groups. This is not a very popular group. This is really their only hit. In fact, they were, as we will discuss, they were pretty much formed for this song only. So I'm not sure we have done them. I know we have not done them yet in this series we're doing now on one-hit wonders. But we did do a few lesser popular groups back before we got to this one-hit wonders series that we're doing now. And it's possible I would have included them because I really like this song. So it's possible that we would have done them already. We may not have, so this may be the first time. But if we have done them already, then why am I doing it again? Well, I've actually learned a few new things about this song. Because I ran across an interesting kind of analysis of the song. It was really very brief, only about a few minutes long, because it was on another YouTube video, and it was talking about a whole bunch of different songs. And so they only really spent a few minutes on this song that we're going to do today. But it was very interesting because the gentleman is a music expert, much smarter than I am. Part of my problem is that I like too much music. So even though I've done a lot of music in my life, I've played multiple instruments. My problem is I like such a wide variety of music that I kind of have become an expert at nothing. So I'm kind of knowledgeable about music. I know a lot of bands, I know a lot of their music, but if you ask me who the drummer is for this band, I have no idea. I mean, I can't even name the lead singer of most bands, even the ones that I like. My most favorite band is Styx, and okay, for them, yeah, I can pretty much name all their members, all their original members. But so I'm not really an expert at any of these bands, and so when we do these episodes, excuse me, I have to really do some research on this. And so this gentleman, who is an expert, was discussing this song, and he gave me more information that I did not have before. And it's interesting information because what this song is about is very often debated. And it seems like what I think it's about is correct. So I'm glad to know I was right about that because a lot of people debate. But we will talk about that when we discuss the song. First, okay, so let's introduce this. So what are we doing? I gave you that big long introduction, haven't even told you what we're doing. We are doing the song Black Betty by Ram Jam. Okay, so first let's talk about the band. Ram Jam. R-A-M-J-A-M. Ram Jam. So, again, as I mentioned in the intro, the band was pretty much formed for this song. Their lead singer, Bill Bartlett, he's their lead singer and their lead guitarist as well. For those of you watching on YouTube, we'll give you the link to the video, and you can watch the video online, so you'll actually see him. It starts out with a picture of him right there. And for those of you listening on streaming or just on the radio, feel free to go look this song up on YouTube later, and you'll see him right away. He's the lead singer and the lead guitarist. Again, his name is Bill Bartlett. And basically what happened is the song came out with Bartlett's previous band, which was called the Lemon Pipers. Okay, and it was not their original song. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we discuss the song. It was not their original song. They adapted it from an earlier song. But they came out with it with the Lemon Pipers. It's kind of interesting because it wasn't really their style. But it also seemed like it wasn't reaching its potential. It was a little too mellow. So some music producer, I'm not even sure who it is. I told you I got some of this information from another expert in music, and I'm not sure he mentioned the person's name. He may have. But some music producer heard the song, wanted Bill Bartlett to do the song, but with a more rock theme. The Lemon Pipers were kind of a mellow band, so he wanted it to be done with a more heavy rock sound to it. So he basically helped form the band. He helped put the band together. And the band that they put together was called Ram Jam, and they formed in New York. And as I said, they were pretty much formed for this song. The group did not stick around too long. I guess because the song was successful, they tried to do a little more work, so it wasn't like they just did this one song and disappeared. So they did a whole album, and then they did, I think, maybe one more album. But they were only around from 1977 to 1978. Less than 2 full years. That's it. That's it. That was their whole existence. That's pretty much why they're a one-hit wonder, because they were formed to do this song. They did this song. It did become popular. It worked. It worked great. It became popular. But that was it. This one song. All right, so about this song. This song is called Black Betty. And again, we may have done it before, but we're gonna do it again because of some of the new information I've learned. I've already told you some of the new information I learned. I didn't realize that this was really driven by a music producer trying to get them to do this song. I always kind of wondered why Ram Jam just came on the scenes, big song, disappeared. Because the band members were never intended to be together. I mean, I suppose if they had had some other hits that came along with their other album, well, on that album, or I think maybe they had one other album. If they had some other big hits that they landed with, maybe they would have stayed together longer. I don't know. But they weren't intended to be together. They were brought together for this one song. So, but there's other information I've figured out as well. So as I mentioned in the intro, it's been debated a lot as far as what this song is about. Many think it's about slavery, where Black Betty is a nickname for the whip that they would hit the slaves with. Not a very nice image, but that's what some people think it's about. Some people think it's about drugs, because Black Betty is the nickname for a certain type of drug. I always thought because of the lyrics, it was just about what it sounds like it's about. Sounds like it's about a woman. So that's what I thought it was about. Because some of the specifics about her having a child, and the child was blind, and things like that, it's just, there's too much information about her. I mean, sometimes we talk about things in songs that isn't exactly what it means. So it could mean a drug, or a whip, or something like that. Could mean something else. There's too much specific information about the child or about Black Betty that it's just seems like it's about what it is. It's about the woman. And in fact, and this is some of the new information I got, in fact, that does seem to be correct. This song, like I mentioned earlier, was not Ram Jam's song, and it was not the Lemon Pipers' song originally. I was going to say it originally came out with Leadbelly. That's not even true. He actually got it from somewhere as well. But the first version of the song that people kind of know came out from Leadbelly in 1959. It was only 59 seconds long. It's a very short song. Very, very, very short song. And it's possible it could have been about a whip. It probably was not about drugs, not in 1959, but it could have been about a whip. I still doubt it, given the words, even to that version. But what happened is, because that song was too short, Bill Bartlett added the last couple of verses. Now, the verses aren't very long, so the whole song is still a very short song by modern standards. Very short. But it's at least over 2 minutes long now, and it was less than a minute in Leadbelly's version. And apparently Bill Bartlett did say what those two verses were about. And they were about exactly what it sounds like the song is about. They are about a black woman named Betty. Because of that, there was some controversy to this song because some people thought it was a little bit racist. I don't know. There's nothing. I mean, you could interpret some of the lyrics, I guess, as not being very nice to Betty, but because it makes it sound like she is kind of a little bit loose, which means that she will sleep with lots of men. It doesn't really say that, though, and it actually talks about some of the good things about her, so I don't know that it's really racist, so the controversy didn't really last long, because a lot of other people weren't really sure either, and so they thought, it's just a good song, so whatever, because it's not really, it doesn't seem racist to me, but to some people, especially some people within the black community, they did think that this was a little bit racist. Okay, but that is what the song is about. And like I said, that's kind of what I thought it was about. But there were rumors that it's about slavery because of the whip being called Black Betty. There were rumors that it was about drugs because there's a drug with a nickname, Black Betty. The song sounded to me as if it's just about a woman. And according to Bill Bartlett, it is. It is. Okay. So, and I think it's definitely not about drugs because the original version came out in 1959, and like I said, that wasn't even really the original version. There's an even earlier one. So, that's before drugs were really popular or even a thing in America. So, I think it's almost certainly not about drugs. And that was a popular thing to say because this was back in the 1970s where drugs were a lot more common, probably more common than they even are today, even though drugs are still out there. They were probably more common back in the 1960s and 70s. This song came out in the 70s. So a lot of people thought it was about that. It's almost definitely not about that. But with Lead Belly being a black singer from the South, it did maybe seem like it could have been about a whip. So that argument, maybe. But definitely the two verses that Bill Bartlett added are about a woman. Okay, so that's enough for our first part of the program. We went on a little bit long there, but I wanted to explain all that. And it's okay. Second part of the program will be a little bit shorter because it is, like I mentioned, a pretty short song. So let's get on to the song. As always, for anyone joining us on YouTube, we cannot embed the video here because of copyright reasons. So we will give you the link. Follow that link. Watch the video for the song. And then click back over here to see part 2 of our program. And for those of you who are just listening, if you're on streaming, or if you are listening on the radio, you will be able to listen just fine. We are a radio station. We can insert the music. So everyone who's not on YouTube, all the rest of you, everyone else should be able to listen just fine. Okay, let's get to the song.
Musical musings, musical musings, musical musings, musical musings.
Welcome back. All right, so you've had a chance to listen to the song now. What do you think it's about? I think it's about what it just sounds like it's about. And as I said, Bill Bartlett has kind of confirmed that. He has said what the song was about. He has said what he's writing about. And so Black Betty, as far as we know, is just about a black woman. All right, so let's go through these lyrics. And again, there's not a whole lot to them. It's a pretty simple song. But there certainly are a few slang words, things like that you may not understand. Okay, so we start out, whoa, Black Betty, bam-a-lam. Whoa, Black Betty, bam-a-lam. Black Betty had a child, bam-a-lam, the damn thing gone wild. Okay, so he says it, he sings it really fast, so it's a little hard to understand. So the bam-a-lam means nothing. That's just making a sound. That means nothing. So it's just Black Betty, Black Betty, Black Betty had a child, the damn thing gone wild. Okay, so basically that just means what it says. Black Betty, that's what they're calling this woman. And that's another one of the reasons why I think some people might think this is a little racist. Why do you have to call her Black Betty? Her name is Betty. Just call her Betty. You don't have to call her Black Betty. Okay, maybe. I get it. But again, the original song, written by, again, I shouldn't say it's the original song, because it wasn't written by Leadbelly. There was a version of it before then. But the original song that was written before Leadbelly was still Black Betty. That's the name of the original song. It's Black Betty. That's what they called it. Okay, so Black Betty's child went wild. Now, what does it mean the child went wild? The damn thing gone wild? Gone, by the way, is the wrong word. Gone is what we call a past participle of go. The past tense is went. So to say that in proper English, it would be the damn thing went wild. But we've seen in a lot of songs, they don't always use proper English. Sometimes it's just to make it fit the song. Sometimes it's to make it fit the culture. Sometimes it's just because it's a common thing we do. And in this case, I think it's to fit the culture. Because a lot of times in the South, I don't want to make fun of people from the southern part of America, but there is generally less education there. The education is of a lower quality. And so they don't speak as well when you talk about proper English, like the grammar and how you say things. So the damn thing gone wild. Yeah, that's maybe something they would say in the South. So, Black Betty had a child, the damn thing gone wild. Nothing special there. She said, I'm worrying out of my mind, bam-a-lam. The damn thing gone blind, bam-a-lam. Said, oh, Black Betty, bam-a-lam, oh, Black Betty, bam-a-lam. Okay. So she said, I'm worrying out of my mind. That's actually hard to hear. He sings it so fast. That's another reason the song's so short. They sing everything so fast. So she's worrying out of her mind. And then it says, the damn thing gone blind. So we're talking again about the child. So the child is blind, and I don't know what they mean by wild. He may just misbehave a lot. Or maybe he has some other problem, maybe some mental problem, which isn't really his fault. Oftentimes, people with mental problems can have other physical problems that go along with it because it has to do with their development. So that could be why he's blind as well. Sometimes people who are blind or deaf just are not well behaved because they're frustrated with the world. They cannot interact properly. There's a famous person who was born in the 1800s. She lived well into the 1900s. But there's a very famous woman in America called Helen Keller who was born deaf and blind. And she was wild as a young child. And again, it was because she was frustrated. She could not communicate. Later in life, when she learned how to communicate with people, She actually became an educator. She wrote books. I mean, she was a very smart woman. But when she was little, she was wild. So it could be that the child is wild because he or she, it doesn't really say whether it's a boy or a girl, could be wild because they're blind, because they're frustrated, can't communicate. Who knows? We don't know. It doesn't say. Okay, we continue on. We get, whoa, Black Betty, Bam-a-lam, whoa, Black Betty, Bam-a-lam. She really gets me high, Bam-a-lam, you know that's no lie, Bam-a-lam. Okay, so she really gets me high. Oh, I think this is where people think it's talking about drugs. Because when they're talking about getting me high here, they do mean that feeling. That feeling you get. But we talk about this a lot in English culture, about getting high on life, for example, which means that life makes you excited, makes you happy. It gives you everything you need. So it's actually talking about how you don't need drugs, and that's kind of the point of saying that. So this actually could be a song that's against drugs if you're taking that angle to it, and I think it's closer to that. I mean, I'm not sure they're really trying to make this an anti-drug song. I'm not saying that. But the point is they don't need drugs because Betty gets him high. In other words, Betty makes him feel joyful. He loves Betty. And as you'll see from other things in this song as we continue on, yes, it seems like Betty really makes him feel good. So Betty makes him feel good. He loves Betty. He has fun with Betty. You know, that's no lie. Okay, there's nothing special there. Okay, we continue on. She's so rock steady, Bam-a-lam, and she's always ready, Bam-a-lam. Okay, and we have whoa, Black Betty, whoa, Black Betty. Okay. So when we say someone is rock steady, that means that they are a solid person that you can depend on. They're always there for you. Like your best friend, someone you can rely on. Maybe your parents are people you can rely on. You could call them rock steady. So again, we're saying a good thing about Black Betty. That's why Black Betty gets him high. And then when it says, and she's always ready, this line could be interpreted, and I think most people think it means this, that when they're ready to, that when this guy wants to have fun, she's always ready to go. That's when I was talking about how Black Betty was a loose woman. But she may not be loose because she's rock steady. She's always there for him. And she's always ready. So I'm not saying there's nothing necessarily bad about this song. That could be a little bit naughty. We could be talking about sex there. That could be what that's about. Most people, I think, believe that. I think that's what that's about. Yes. So she's always ready, meaning whenever he wants sex, he can just go to Betty and there they go. So that's what that means. Okay, so we continue on and we get to the next verse. Whoa, Black Betty, Bam-a-lam, whoa, Black Betty, Bam-a-lam. She's from Birmingham, Bam-a-lam, way down in Alabama. Okay, so Birmingham is a city in the state of Alabama, which in this verse they just call Alabama. They just do that to make sure it rhymes. Birmingham, Alabama. It's just making the lines rhyme. That's all. And it is in the South. So even though this band formed in New York, I think Bill Bartlett and most of his original band members were from the South. So they're singing this song about the South. And this is a Southern song. Remember I mentioned to you that Leadbelly was a Southern black singer. This is a song that takes place in the South, which is another reason why some people think it might be about slavery. But I don't think so. I think it's just about the woman. Okay, so she's from Birmingham, way down in Alabama. Okay, then the next line, and we finish up. Like I said, it's a pretty short song. Well, she's shaking that thing, bam-a-lam, boy, she makes me sing, bam-a-lam. Okay. Again, this does seem like it might be about sex. Well, not specifically, but just being attractive. And that is when it says, well, she's shaking that thing. Usually when we say that in English, it means her behind, her butt. She's shaking her butt, either on purpose or just when she's walking. There's a sense here, it doesn't really say, but there's definitely a sense here that she might be kind of a big girl. Like when it says she's rock steady, it could refer to her stature. I told you before that's someone you can rely on, and it's usually used that way. But it sounds like she's big, and sometimes within kind of the black culture, I don't want to say it. I want to make sure I don't say anything racist either. But it's generally more common within the black culture than within the white culture in America, and that is that they appreciate a larger body size. And so since this is a black woman, maybe she is a bigger woman, and even though this is a white guy singing the song, he seems like he likes Black Betty, so he might be into that sort of culture. And so maybe he likes that bigger size. So she's shaking that thing, and it makes him sing. So when we say something makes you sing, it doesn't mean you literally are singing. It means it makes you feel good. You like it. So when she's shaking that thing, and it probably means she's shaking her butt, he likes it. That's basically all that means. Well, she's shaking that thing, boy, she makes me sing. So he likes that. So you can see why some people might think this is a little bit racist. Why do you have to call her Black Betty? Just call her Betty. It sounds like they're referencing black culture here a little bit. When you maybe it seems like maybe she's a bigger woman, and that's something that's more appreciated within the black culture than the white culture in America. So, and again, I don't want to stereotype. There's plenty of black people that like nice, thin, the traditional version you see of what people consider beautiful. There's plenty of white people that like bigger sized people. And it's true as far as women when they're looking for men as well. Plenty of them like a nice, thin, fit person. Some of them like a more beefy guy. Lots of different people like lots of different people. It's just a little more common within the black culture to like that thing, to like that the bigger size women. And so for a white man to sing this song might seem a little bit racist to some people. So you can see why there's some controversy here. But for the most part, it's singing good things about Betty. The second verse where it says, I'm worrying out of mind, she's worried about her kid. So she cares. She loves her kid. She's worried about her child. That's a good thing. When it says she really gets me high, no, that's not a reference to drugs. It means he makes her feel good. She's so rock steady. Now again, that could refer to size, but it could also mean she's reliable. She's reliable. She's always there for him. And he does like the way she looks. When she's shaking that thing, she makes me sing. So, it's really pretty complimentary of Betty, which is why, even though it's a little controversial, maybe you shouldn't be singing about this way. The controversy died down pretty quickly, and this was actually a very popular song. In my notes here, I didn't write where it finished on the charts, but I'm almost certain it did make the Billboard Top 100, and in fact, I think it got pretty high up there, like in the top 20. I believe I did see that it got up that high. So, a very popular song. Some of the songs we've done didn't even make the Billboard Hot 100. That's like the top 100 songs in the country, which they rate every single week. You have to remember, there's a lot of artists out there, a lot of good songs at any one time, and some songs stay on the list for week after week after week after week after week, so they're taking up spots. So, just to even get on the list is pretty good. To get high on the list is very hard, and I believe this got up pretty high on the Billboard Hot 100 list. So, that's it for Black Betty by Ram Jam. Now, usually in closing, I will tell you other songs by a band to listen to. I have got nothing for you from Ram Jam. I don't know any of their other songs. I know when they... I'm fairly certain they put out... I don't even know this for certain, but I'm fairly certain they put out a full album. Maybe even two, because they were together for more than just one song. They were around for a couple of years. So there might even be another album. So, I mean, so it's not like there are no other songs out there by them. They have other songs. I'm sure if you look them up on YouTube, you could find some. They may be a little tough to find. You search Ram Jam, most of what you're going to find is Black Betty, Black Betty, Black Betty, Black Betty, Black Betty, because this song was really popular. It was at one time when I was growing up, this was actually my favorite song. So I have nothing to recommend to you from Ram Jam, but I'm sure there are other songs. Not many. Again, only around less than 2 years. But I'm sure there are other songs. So if you want to look them up, see if you can find anything else by them that you like, go for it. But this right here is a fun song. And if you're listening on radio or streaming, I recommend you look it up on YouTube because the video is kind of fun too. There's nothing special about it. In fact, it's very low quality. It looks like it's filmed in some grandmother's backyard or something. Well, it is filmed in someone's backyard, and it's just the band playing. You don't see Black Betty. There's nothing there. It's just the band playing. But the band's a little bit crazy. It's kind of fun to watch them, and it's short. So I recommend you watch the YouTube video. Again, the name of the song is Black Betty by Ram Jam. Okay. Thank you for joining us for today's Musical Musings program. Please stay tuned and make sure you tune back in next week for another great song. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you.
Musical musings, musical musings, musical